Welcome to a special conversation today that we are calling Deals in the Desert. This is a special conversation with guests that are here in the studio to talk about a really interesting time in the business world. As we know and as we have seen, there have been unbelievable geopolitical changes all over the globe. And as business people, we are always interested in understanding how to be able to make business decisions and see which business doors open through the chaos. I'm really excited to introduce special guests led by our good friend Reeba Magulick from DA Group, who runs a program that she will describe to you and introduce our other special guests. Reeba, welcome and great to see you.
Thank you, Seth. So great to see you today as well. Yeah, Seth, I have to tell you, this is a little bit outside of the typical mold for D8 Group, but there are forces at play, as you mentioned, that cannot be ignored. And I was fortunate enough to come across our panel of experts here, true experts in the international arena, to bring together some ideas of something that we believe our client base in the government contracting arena should be aware of. So just bottom line up front, what we're proposing to do here is to offer consulting and guidance end to end. Number one, in identifying some multi-billion-dollar opportunities that are just starting to break loose in the Middle East, and even existing ones that are coming up for rebid. We've identified approximately $4 billion, over $4 billion of upcoming opportunities.
Just in one look and just in one
Just
region.
in one look, and that is not even scratching the surface, and that doesn't even touch the forward-looking initiatives that are driving a lot of this. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But we have in our studio today Tatyana Pope and Yossi Levy, all the way from Israel, to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
What I'd like to do, I'd like to just share a little bit about their backgrounds. I think you all know me, founder of D8 Group. We provide business development as a service, federal opportunity pipeline experts. Our focus has always really been domestic to this point, but the light bulb has gone off in a major way, and this is why I'm so grateful to have this brewing relationship with both of you to explore some of these opportunities. So Yossi here, just to provide some information, is an Israel in-country expert / liaison. He's been an Army operative and commander who served in the intelligence unit. He's special police surveillance and intelligence unit, conducted training programs worldwide in human intelligence, otherwise known as HUMINT, surveillance, counterterrorism, threat, vulnerability, risk assessments, and the list goes on and on. It's an amazing background that you bring to the table, Yossi, and amazing insights of what it takes to actually do business on ground. And then Tatyana Pope here, who is our international liaison, international business development expert in spades. And Tatyana, honestly, some of the stories that you shared were very eye-opening, like what the average contractor doesn't even know. And I don't want to say it's easy, but maybe some seriously low-hanging fruit that the average company doesn't know about. But getting back to Tatyana, she brings over 2 decades of experience, having supported the Air Force, the Navy, U.S. Marshal Service, U.S. Defense Logistics Agency, Homeland Security, State Department, Commerce, and the list goes on and on. And really the work that you've done to expand globally spans multiple functional areas, including aviation, robotics, construction, energy, cybersecurity, healthcare, supply chain. Anyway, I think we've said a lot about your backgrounds, but just kicking off this topic, Yossi, let's go to you first. What is it, just in plain English, that we don't know as the average U.S. contractor, and what have you seen from your vantage point?
Well, I think that there is a gap between what has been published here and what has been spoken here as to what's happening in our region from a contracting perspective to what's actually has been happening boots on the ground. I mean, Israel is about to flourish with government contracting, which are subsidized by dollar aid. And there are always the known U.S. Corps of Engineers, multiple year plans, of design build. And unfortunately, since October 7th, everything changed. There are American vehicle contracting component that came into play that were not here before. And there are a lot more of contingency contracts, which have to do nothing related necessarily to design, build, and construction.
Wow.
They deal with a lot of other aspects that are as a result of the war and what's happening in the region. And I think that what I see mainly is that there are a lot of contracts that opened, and companies, I see the same names.
The same ones over and over again?
Same names, the same big companies. And they're all reaching for the high dollar value contracts. And there are a lot of small contracts that nobody is aware of and touches.
And small is a relative term, right?
Small is tens of millions of dollars. So that's the small definition.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great opportunity for companies. The second thing that I'm really, really strongly identifying is that companies that are outside of the scope of necessarily military or construction are plug-in gear in Israel, because they understand that they don't necessarily need to be an expert in the field of the contract.
They just have to be present almost, right?
Exactly, and they can find the vehicle, that supporting angle to provide them with the services, and they open themselves to a lot of bids.
And the opportunities, you're not just talking about Israel.
I'm not just talking about Israel, I'm talking about the whole region. The level of money that's supposed to be deployed is really significant. The opportunities are very vast. You know, people talk about AI, cyber, space. We're talking about dirt. We're talking about construction. We're
Some of the
talking about
basics.
cement. We're talking about tents, water,
Healthcare.
infrastructure, healthcare, nutrition, basic life essentials.
Right.
And that's what Israel will need to give a lot of support in the next coming years, and it reflects in the contracts.
And Seth, you and I were talking about the headlines, all the headlines recently, just to kind of touch on where the tea leaves are going. You know, the Pax Silica initiative to build secure, resilient supply chains. You've got Europe's, well, this is related to Europe, but the drone industry in 2025, from regulation to real demand. Project Sunrise, the $112 million over 10 years that they're discussing, Qatar and UAE to join U.S.-led efforts to bolster technology supply chain. I mean, I think that the reason you brought this to our attention, you've been monitoring these headlines.
Yeah, there's an old saying that essentially goes something to the effect of sometimes 15 years of history can happen in 15 minutes. There have been unbelievable changes throughout the Middle East, in and around Israel and well beyond. And who would have known just a year ago or 18 months ago that we would be talking about an entirely new regime in Syria with an American base being built there and with Israeli troops in coordination with United States troops on the ground. Who knew that we would be talking about building all of these new bases and having all of these dollars, tens of billions of dollars that are flowing through all these regions. And that's just the United States dollars. That's just one sliver of one piece of one perspective, which is why I'm really intrigued, Reeba, by D8's international consulting group, and that you're working with these tremendous experts, because these opportunities are out there. And to borrow a phrase from Yossi, so that I can attribute correctly to him, he's like, the money's there. Someone just needs to come take it. So just tremendous opportunities, and your group, your organization, and these amazing experts create that line of sight to those immediate business opportunities.
Thank you for that, Seth, because I would say that's always been our core philosophy. You know, you have to be ahead of the competition, even on domestic opportunities, to find the low-hanging fruit, and people don't take the time to find it. You can't get into proactive stance to pursue it if you don't identify it first. But this takes it to a whole other level. This almost reminds me of what government contracting used to be like in the 80s and 90s, where people just didn't know that much about it. And, you know, some of the stories that you described, Yossi, and you too, Tatyana, that you can go scoop up some things just merely by being present, by being there. Tatyana, can you talk a little bit about some of the things that you had shared regarding, again, other low-hanging fruit, lesser-known avenues that absolutely need to be focal right now for government contractors?
Well, I think what a lot of government contractors are missing when they write their proposal in response to the government IDIQ contract or a task order, they don't often even think about the little details that they need to include. Things that are life support, like Yossi was sharing, their transportation, the need for translation, is there a visa requirement? So there's a lot of information that's missing from a proposal. So once the contract is awarded, they only budgeted for a certain number, and then companies have to struggle and scramble. Where do we find extra dollars? We're asking for, additional dollars from the customer who's not happy. So I think experts like Yossi, who's on the ground, he can come in and coach your clients in a proposal phase to let them know these are the things you must include, and this is what it's going to cost. Another thing is pre-qualifying companies before bidding is important. Getting them into the proposal, cleared companies with real addresses, with real capabilities, that's really important. But also there's a whole another world of commercial opportunities that a lot of government contractors are not considering, and it's something that I have experience in.
35 trillion? Is that what I heard you say?
That's the global trade, companies trading with each other. It doesn't just focus on America, but U.S. is famous for technologies and, of course, AI and healthcare technologies. So the world loves American products. We always had such a great quality products in America, so a lot of countries are looking for that high quality product to buy. And how do they buy it? They look online, or we look for a local reseller in their own country. It doesn't exist. So I think there's a gap that we can definitely help bridge. If a company A decides to go to Saudi Arabia, for example, we can help them, pull them out market research.
What are some of those venues that you would describe that you can help visualize opening those doors for people to see very specific examples?
Well, we have an amazing Department of Commerce capability here, right here in Washington, D.C. So they are responsible for helping American companies succeed overseas. So they have an International Trade Administration Bureau that is under the Department of Commerce, and they have an office in each state. So companies can go to the local state ITA and request market research. You don't have to leave your hometown. You could just order market research to identify opportunities for your specific product and figure out which is the best region for you to go to. So that's one. Another one, if you want to take it to the next step, you can join a trade mission. Trade mission is a U.S.-led, Department of Commerce-led, high-level
And you help with
delegation.
these
I can absolutely help
And
with that.
it's not hard. It's not impossible. This is something I didn't know about until you shared this with
Yes,
us.
you kind of have to know where to go.
So give an example or two of.
So there was just a trade mission to Saudi Arabia, for example. There are a few actually that were really high profile, like AI or quantum, cyber, mostly in the technology industry. And so they were going overseas and participating in the U.S. Pavilion set up as part of a larger exhibition, which is normally a huge international exhibition that attracts many, many countries. So you can be sitting inside the U.S. Pavilion under the U.S. flag with U.S. Embassy promoting your company all over the
This
country.
is remarkable.
Plus, all these other regional countries are sending their delegations and buyers. They can also come and visit.
meet you. Yeah.
This is
Exactly.
remarkable.
So many years ago, when the DHS got stood up, I was working for a company that organized the very first Homeland Security Summit. It's very similar to AOSA. I'm sure you're familiar. And so I was responsible to organize international pavilions as part of it. So we had all these different international pavilions, and it was.
Are there
that's
examples of these conferences that also take place here in the United States?
There are quite a few. So it depends on what clients are looking for. So because we're very highly specialized, ranging from construction to IT, food, energy, a lot of energy. There's a big one in Houston, OTC. So U.S. embassies from overseas, led by commercial attaches, bring foreign buyers
That is
to the trade show, and they basically book a separate room of a trade show and invite invitation only American companies with capabilities to meet the buyers.
So this is why I'm so excited, Reeba, about this program that you have and these specialists that you're teaming with, because think about it. If you're a mid-sized or small business government contractor or a company that has commercial agreements with government contractors, that has an interest in doing work that's posted by Army, Navy, State Department, Commerce, what have you, D8 identifies the opportunities for connection here.
Right.
Yossi and his business organization helps to create the leverage and the connective tissue to perform on the ground there.
Exactly.
And Tatyana has all of these door openings that she can create literally all over the world and here in the United States to have a line of sight to understand exactly how to be able to reach for these dollars.
Agree. And Seth, this is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. I always say fortune favors the brave. You've got to be first in each scenario, but this is a big pie. And, you know, we talked about the proposals, but Yossi, if you could talk a little bit about what happens after you win, because I think that some company, it's like, oh, I won a $500 million thing, but you talked to us separately about vetting and just
Right.
the basics, some of the blocking and tackling that has to happen on the ground that new entrants wouldn't be aware of.
Right. So I think to kick out something that Tatyana mentioned is, first of all, we like to reflect to our contractor everything that is not a line item. And there are multiple and non-light items.
Reading between the lines, you mean?
Yeah, which are dollar that he needs to spend and he needs to become aware of. Because sometimes the request for proposals are of a high level and they accumulate a lot of things which you can actually understand and modify, but there are a lot of components that are not there. And that leads us to what we do on the ground, which is, first of all, you got to find the right fit for your contractor. My goal is for this contractor to be able to execute. And when me and him looking at the government, the U.S. government, or whoever is the one who published the contract as our client. So we share the same perspective. And in order for him to be successful, my purpose is to provide him with the most adequate umbrella. So I want to find for him, if it's, let's say, in any construction type, I want to find for him the adequate construction boots on the ground to actually conduct the job. I want to make sure that all the people who work there are vetted and are fit. And the performer of this construction company is in a way that can support his project, that they are financially stable to be able to work in between the payment distribution as they go, because it is a government vehicle. They don't give you the money up front and they don't give you the money at the end. There are distributions, but there's work needs to be done, and this work costs money, so he needs to be financially stable. That's another thing. We need to make sure that he operates on daily basis within the niche of contract that we choose him for. I'm not going to bring a warehouse contractor to build me a runway. I'm not going to bring just a company that has zero experience just because I can.
Right.
So I need to make sure that the fit that I'm finding for the U.S. prime contractor who is bidding will be perfect, will be in line with his need.
Yes.
And I will be there to mitigate the cultural gaps, and because that's one
Those
of
are
the things
real,
that
right?
we identify.
Those are realities.
Those cultural gaps between the American contractor and the Israeli contractor who's executing. And the thing is that the benefit of this group is that whenever we need additional layers of services, remember, it's dollars spent, it's dollar aid money. It means that the money needs to stay in-house in the U.S. So we will try, again, with the help of Tatyana and other partners, to bring as much local products to the table. So it's more than just, oh, we need a contractor, because tomorrow we need food and nutrition, or tomorrow we need mobile housing. And some of those solutions, the prime contractor chooses not to purchase or acquire from the state he operates in, for instance, Israel.
Okay.
So we will have a lot of relationships and needed add-ons from local American companies. And I think that this is the biggest challenge, is to finding the right fit and to give the whole full support. You know, sometime somebody told me, if I send a project manager, a lady, to Israel. She was stabled in Beersheba somewhere, had to drive to some Israeli base at night, got stuck with a flat tire. Who helps her? Well, we'll help her. That's a part of what we do. We're really trying to be a one-stop shop, in the sense that we will take care of all the contractors.
Well, you eliminate a lot of noise and costs in the process by doing so. And I think these are probably unaccounted costs or issues or impacts to time and delivery that the contractor doesn't even think of. So I'm so glad you're here to shed light on that. And
we try to solve for the American prime contractor the problem he yet doesn't know he has.
That's beautifully stated.
Was
That's
that said right in
I
English?
think you hit the nail on the head. Well, I mean, I guess I can close this out by saying that as far as discrete opportunities, we talked about big forward-looking things, but D8 Group has compiled a report, Seth, that shows 70 opportunities. And again, these are outside of some of the major initiatives that we discussed. 70 opportunities in the next 24 months that are Middle East based. And we looked at every country in the Middle East, and the discriminator was that the work is actually performed, on land. They total $4 billion.
$4 billion.
$4 billion across 70 opportunities, average a deal size $54 million. There are contractors I've never heard of because, like I said, I'm not as familiar as our experts here with doing business overseas, but we're able to see who they are. We said that Army is spending the most money, followed by the State Department, followed by Navy, Defense, and Air Force. And the number one category of services being procured are professional services, followed by architecture, engineering, construction, operations, and maintenance. But again, that doesn't even touch on some of the major things that we talked about that are in the headlines coming down the path.
The idea is to be able to open up more business doors, to be able to have a line of sight to more deals, to have a very cost down, revenues up approach to be able to expand business. So we're really excited about it, and I'm really very thankful for you all to be here with us in the studio today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.